Hello everyone, good evening, and a very bullish evening it is. I hope everyone's doing alright. I hope you weren't the whale. Oops, let me turn off this sound. I need to sort out my sound. Oops, my YouTube's gone mental. Sorry about this. Here we go. Nearly there. Anyway, what an exciting week it's been, eh? So, a bullish reversal in Bitcoin from last Monday, just when everybody thought that, we were going to go lower. To be honest, for me, it felt like the last bullish line in the sand here for Bitcoin, this support, because I'd been looking at this 50% level, which was like the pivot level through this consolidation that we were doing, and I really felt that if we stayed under it, that we were going to head to 27,000. But it's a really good lesson about sideways ranges, that when you've got a sideways range, the extremes of that range are support and resistance. And it was really interesting about how, those whales that bought so much Bitcoin and yet it still dropped here. It's a really good lesson when if you want to buy a lot of Bitcoin, if you buy it when the market's all quiet, or if you buy it when it's going up like this, you're really going to move the market against you and not going to get such a good price. But if you buy it when everybody's bearish and willing to sell it to you, then you can accumulate quite a lot without anybody noticing. And I think that that's what we saw here. And then, of course, once they've absorbed all the people that want to sell here, there's no more sellers to take it down to that 27,000 level. So, we have to go up, and it's, so many bottoms start with a short squeeze, and this one is no exception. It doesn't look like, does it? So where are we headed to from here? I've drawn my fibs from these highs up here, but we could take a look at these levels. When we look at this bounce, it may be that we've still I don't think that this is a big fourth wave. This is, in other words, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've still got another leg lower. I think that we've done our 5 waves if we were going to do 5 waves down, and I feel like this feels like a pretty big bottom to me. But big picture on the weekly, for me, this is just a big wave 4. So from the low that we made in 2018, this is 1, 2, 3, and this is our big wave 4 that we're in. And when you're in a wave 4, we're very often waves 2 and 4 are equal in time. Well, if we measure, let's take everything away, clean up here. And if we measure how long this wave 2 took, then you can see it was quite a few months, June to March. So if we took the same time for wave 4, that would have us bottoming at the very end of December this year. So we would rally in January. So if this correction and this correction are equal in time, which is very common. So what I think we might do here, because we had a very simple sort of ABC pullback here, what I think we might see here is a triangle or a wedge consolidation or something like that. So if the bottom isn't in yet, so it's possible that we do something like this into year end. I've made it a bit too big for that, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that, and then bottom here beginning of January, and so on. It's quite interesting because when we made this low here in January 2019. When I measured the legs, so what I was looking for was this correction here from the high in December 2017 to the low in January 2019 to be equal to this 2014-2015 correction, which I need to put on log scale to show you. So this correction in time and this correction in time. And when you did that, it said that the low should be at the end of January, last week of January. And what ended up happening is we didn't make a new low, but we came all the way back and we made a slightly higher low. So and that's really, we kind of then just took off from there and never looked back. So that's what I'm thinking. But there we go. if we keep going and we make a new high, you know, that's it, the bottom's in. You know, you've got to put your toe in the water. And these weekly moving averages, this morning when I was looking at everything at resistance, and we had this as a wedge consolidation. So I'm drawing it like this. So the first bounce off the lows here, drew it like this. When we had this at resistance this morning, this resistance here was also the weekly 20 moving average, which is a pretty big deal for us to get above. And so now trading above that is, for me, like a really good sign of a breakout. I'd really like to see this keep going. You know, very often third touches of trend lines are false breakouts, so I'd like to see this keep going. And there we go. So then the next risky place for me becomes where, if I don't think it is when I look at this price action, but if this becomes then an equal measured move or something like that, that would be the sign of a correction. And why might it stop there? Well, profit taking. Well, that was at 37,000. That's gone. And so the next bullish target for me becomes 42,000. That's where this swing is 1.618 of this swing. And that would be a really good ratio for a wave 3. So 42,000 next. And if I put the fibs on from high to low, you can see that we've also got the 38.2 fib there. If we do our fib retraces from this high, we haven't really got anything lining up there. So that's where I'm looking to next. And then the 200-day moving average. And then the most common place I would look for next would be 50% of the whole drop, which would be 47,000. So that's where I'm seeing us going. You know, I do think that this will have some legs, and that I'm not necessarily saying we're going to see a new high. This could very easily just be our A leg, and now we're going to do a B leg, and we've still got a C leg of correction to come, you know, before this is over. But it's looking pretty promising so far. Now, what about the people that aren't in? What if you haven't got any Bitcoin yet? What if you've got horrendous FOMO because it's really hard to buy something that's just gone up in such a straight line like this? If you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, 6 days, and especially a candle like this, what the hell do you do? If we look back though, whenever we've had big candles like this, the most common candlestick next day is either to follow on and continue, but most likely it's, if you look, it's a little inside bar or a doji or a pause or sideways when we're trending, and then we carry on. And so if you let this candlestick get out of the way, close, really bullish, and then wait for the pause and that shallow pullback, then you're going to get a much better, safer entry. You're not going to be buying it at the point where it turns and reverses in your face. So David Corden says, the fact that we're still asking if this is a bottom means it's not the bottom. Well, one of the reasons that I think that we've got further to go higher is there are still people that are really bearish. And I can see why we're trading underneath our 200-day moving average. That's the kind of definition of trend. And we haven't, you know, if this is a sideways range, let's go to our 4 hour for where that first bounce went to. We haven't really broken out of this sideways range yet, but you know, we've just smashed through 40,000. I'm not going to say until we close that we've definitely smashed through 40,000. For me, I think 42,000, 42,500 is more likely resistance, let's put it that way. And I'm expecting a shallow pullback there, and then still another leg higher. So let's see. It's Blue says it's whales eating up the krill. It is. I've seen people though and I've seen, you know, they'll do trickery in the smaller ones, like if very illiquid coins. So they're buying they're trying to buy when you're not noticing, when you're really bearish, but we're very close to support. And that's really kind of the definition of where we are here, or close to a reversal. And what I've seen, especially, you know, how often in crypto do we see this pattern here? Okay, we see a high and then we see a marginal new high and a reversal. Bitcoin does this all the time. It does it at major highs, goes all the way, retests it, maybe slightly higher. This is when people want out. Okay, if you've got a really big long position and you want out, and you want to sell a lot, you don't want to crash the price. So the easiest way is to buy a little, trick everybody that it's going up, and then when everybody wants to buy it because they think it's breaking up, sell it to them. And you know, this is hedge funds eating your lunch. This is what they do all day, all night. They'll buy a little, and you see this all the time in very illiquid stocks or in illiquid altcoins. If you really want to sell a bunch and you don't want to move the market, like, I don't know if any of you were ever trading Haven with me. That was Haven. Like, you had to be so careful how you bought and sold without, you know, otherwise you just were the market. So this is why I think we see this all the time, and it's a very Bitcoin thing. And this is why false breakdowns and false breakouts are really powerful reversals. And Bitcoin loves to do this. Look here, low, we bounce all the way back and retest this low because the big players want out, but they don't want to pay up here, and they don't want to be the market. So that's why we see this. So waiting for a pullback at this point, K, is the smart way. And when will it come? It'll come exactly when you don't think it will ever get one. So now the alternative way is to do it short term. You can see here simply, you can see, can't you? We have a big move, we consolidate sideways, and we continue higher. And each time we go sideways, you can kind of put a little range around it, or the sideways trading that we do. Let me take my magnet off. You can put a little, you can see when we accumulate and we just go sideways like this, and you can normally mark the ranges, can't you? If you want to say, are we you know, into a bigger correction, mark the previous swing low. We don't want to break the previous swing low. Same here. Don't want to break the swing low, previous swing low here. And this is a really good lesson as well for moving your stop up if you are you know, don't want to get caught in the reversal. But each time we break higher, so do it short term until it stops. But at some point, you know, we've gone quite a long way in a straight line, and we've gone 6 days in a straight line. What about folks saying it's a bull trap? Okay, a bull trap is what we've just talked about. A bull trap is where the market will make a marginal new high, trick everybody it's going up, and then dump in them. This is not this, you know, if you buy the bounce and it retraces 50% of the drop that we've been doing basically, you know, for the last 4 months, that's not a bull trap. That's a really nice trade. You know, at some point when we get to 50% of the drop, or 61.8, we're going to expect it to stop going up and come down. That's all. You know, this is the normal kind of swings of the market. If we look at, you know, previous bullish trends, you know, it never goes in a straight line. It goes up, and then it has a really pretty decent pullback, and then it goes up, and so on. So this is kind of normal, what we would expect. And very often, if you go back and look at previous moves off the lows, you know, we see once the short squeeze is over, you see a pretty decent pullback. It will come. It'll just come right when we're not expecting it. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. 42,500 then I think is next on the cards, and then and I'm very impressed with how we have broken above this weekly 20 moving average, because we've been stuck in between these moving averages basically since May, haven't we? With the weekly 20 up here and the weekly 50 being support down here. Hello, Squidgy. So this is a really nice reversal. Doesn't mean we're going to see a new high straight away. We might do something like this, you know. Actually, we're more likely to do something like this, and then 5 waves up, and then hopefully a 3-wave pullback, and then, you know, and so on. So we'll get lots of opportunities. We will get lots of opportunities. Now, what might stop us this week is on Wednesday we have the Federal Reserve, the US central bank makes their interest rate decision, and they have their usual press conference. Now, even if they don't do, this is one of those events where even if they don't do anything, it can cause an awful lot of volatility. We saw it last month. Remember, everybody's got inflation fears. We've got the competing interests of the government wanting to do a huge amount of stimulus, and inflation fears, and the Federal Reserve have to steer a course through the middle, and their comments make a massive difference. So when we look at the dollar, which has been trading sideways this week and kind of not been that much of an influence, in fact it's been a little bit weaker, but this is the daily chart of the dollar index. You can see really we've been pretty choppy and sideways. I think that we'll stay on the back foot into Wednesday night, and then we will see there's really good support for this dollar index at 92.33. We might end up doing one of those, because this is in an uptrend, and we might end up doing one of those 3-wave corrections in the dollar index, and a bounce off here, and that would be a very bullish signal for the dollar index, and that could trigger a pullback in crypto, and particularly Bitcoin. So if that's what we're waiting for, that might be the trigger. We're not there yet though, and we haven't come back. Do I think that the big sell-off in, so the Hang Seng, yeah, let's talk about that, because there's a few other markets that I follow. So you know that they haven't been. This is the Nikkei. I thought we'd lost the 200-day moving average last week. We've had a couple of red candles, but we've been gapping open and then falling back. And so this has actually, this to me though, big picture looks like a big bull flag. When I look at the Hang Seng though, let's look at this big picture on a weekly chart. This has not been really bullish for a while, has it? We've got a lower high. This looks like it's just making big corrective ABC 3-wave patterns, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I think that we've got a final leg lower to come. But when you zoom out and you look at it, really these moving averages are flat, they're sideways. I think it might be some rotation. I don't know that I'm, if we look at this monthly chart, it is a little bit toppy, but it's not, it's hardly, Armageddon, end of the world. This month is a little bit, well, this month is pretty ugly, isn't it? And it's funny because, we've got COVID recovery. We've got literally, shipping containers from Shanghai to the US at the highest, the chart for that is a straight up line. So, yeah, no, I think it's just rotation, to be honest. So, yeah. So, when I look at stock indexes, if we were going to see a turn, because it's month end this week, normally stock index would stay bullish into Wednesday, because that is 2 days before month end, and that's when everyone marks to market. So in other words, that's for month end, they mark the price of those stock on their books, and they tend to kind of keep stocks supported into month end, and then after that they tend to kind of last day of the month, if they're going to drop, they drop off a bit. So we've got the combination of month end coming, and people will be taking profit in those stocks that did really well, and we've got the Fed on Wednesday, but I can't really see any reason why we would stop before then. And this bounce is really interesting that Bitcoin went first, isn't it? So yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Really, we need to just wait for a pullback now. A lot of alts that I looked at this morning were very similar pattern to Bitcoin. So they were stuck between these moving averages. They were not looking, or they were at the 200-day moving average. For example, here's Engine was one, Theta's another one. Here we are underneath this 200 moving average on the daily. If we were looking at the weekly, we can see that we are underneath the weekly 20 moving average here at resistance. If I look at Theta's another Theta token against the dollar, same pattern. So here on the daily 200 moving average, these previous highs, this is where we're sideways at. If we go to the weekly chart of this one, you can see another one where we're stuck in the middle between the 20 and the 50 moving average in kind of no man's land. This would be bullish if we can break out from here back above that weekly 20 moving average or above that weekly 200 moving average. And so many coins that I looked at this morning were in this kind of same position. So Link was one of them that's managed to break out, and it made a really decent move above resistance today. So this means in Link, I was going to talk about this later, this means that this 50 moving average now in Link will be support. I'm looking for a shallow pullback in this one, and this one should keep going higher. Doge has had a really nice bounce off the 200-day moving average, above the 20 moving average today, broke above resistance today. So we're going to look for this 50 to be next. And then hopefully with this, basically Doge is now a double bottom, isn't it? So now when you get to, as we said last week, so now we're looking for the peak of the middle of that double bottom to be our next target, and that 61.8 level at 0.2833. But if we were going to get a pullback, if you were looking for a pullback in Doge, it's going to come at that 50 moving average, which is at 0.243. That's where I go. Do I think this BT move is an impulse? I think it could be, yes. It has that feeling. I think it could be. But because most bounces or flows start as a short squeeze, I'm open to it might not be. But for now, I do like it. I do like I looked at AXS in my group this morning. Let me see. I'm going to try and go through the list I've got of requests, which I took from Twitter and my group today. I will just mention, so there's a bunch of coins that track Bitcoin. Ethereum is one of them. So we've had a really nice breakout in Ethereum today. I have to say that I'm not quite so bullish Ethereum. One of the reasons that I think that Bitcoin might have another leg is because when I look at this just looks like it dropped in a straight line, and we are definitely kind of making a B leg here in Ethereum. I've got Ethereum Euro, but really Ethereum dollar is the same price. So, and what I find interesting is if you look at Bitcoin dominance is going up at the moment. So most of the altcoins, I think that if you're looking at, you should really look at them. Don't just look at the dollar chart, but look at them against Bitcoin, and make sure that what you want to buy is outperforming Bitcoin and going up. If it's not, and Bitcoin is doing better than the altcoin you're looking at, you may as well stay in this altcoin. Here, for example, bouncing very nicely in the US dollar off the lows. Although we've got a little bit potentially of a sideways range here, we are very nicely, and this is what I mean. This is a tricky level here for ETH, because we've got this double bottom here, haven't we? And then this is the peak in the middle that we need to overcome. So potentially a little bit of resistance. I'm going to be watching this close quite carefully in ETH dollar. But if we take a look at ETH Bitcoin, we are not really, this is a daily chart, going up, are we? This was a red down day. Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. So for at the moment, I wouldn't be rushing to buy Ethereum. I think that this needs to play out, and this needs to be going up again, and we need to be breaking out from this consolidation for me to want to buy ETH against Bitcoin. And likewise, Litecoin is one of the ones that very often goes first, outperforms, but Litecoin definitely underperforming Bitcoin at the moment, still in a downtrend. When we look at Ripple, and so this is how moves tend to work. They Bitcoin tends to go first, it sucks all the money out of the alts, has a really nice rally, and then as people have made profit in Bitcoin, they start to then spread it out into the altcoins, and look for coins that are going to follow on. There are a few coin chart patterns that I really like. We'll talk about them. So Ripple Tether, this weekly chart looks really nice, double bottom off the 50 moving average. We haven't, of course, got anywhere close to breaking above that 20. They've had a bit of good news in their lawsuit, haven't they? But even on the daily here, we're underneath these major moving averages. So we haven't got our bullish reversal yet. But, you know, when you say to yourself, do I really want to be dipping into Ripple yet, or should I wait? Take a look at the Ripple against Bitcoin chart, and you can see we're just clinging on. In fact, today we've lost the 200 moving average. Probably not a good idea, is it? So that's how I'm pretty much looking at alts at the moment. Unless they are outperforming Bitcoin, I'm leaving them on the back burner and looking for the ones that are outperforming. And it's really easy to find the ones that are outperforming. Here, this is CoinGecko. Let's go to a 24-hour. So you can see quite easily. Here, let's look at, so if I click on 24-hour performance and get the green ones up, then we can see all of these coins by their 24-hour performance. So here's Bitcoin down here, 16.4. All of these in the last 24 hours are outperforming Bitcoin. NEM, Lend, AAVE, Chainlink, Zen, VeChain, Hot. So there's a couple, AMP. Not many though, is there? Really, when you look at this, it's a pretty short list. Now, there are some chart setups, some of them, maybe 7 days is better to look at. There are some chart patterns that I do quite like. I will look at AAVE, yeah, if you remind me at the end. So I'm going to whip through. Here's your AAVE chart here. I'm looking at it against the dollar, but obviously we know from just looking at that it is outperforming Bitcoin. Now, again, we've got trouble coming up for this one because we are still underneath this 200-day moving average. I'm just going to take away this. Okay, so if this is we've done a big 3-wave down, haven't we? If this is the correction in the bottom, then this swing should be our wave 3. Should really outperform, be the strongest. But I'm going to measure the first swing and project from here. So the first trouble area is this 61.8 and these previous highs where we are here. It looks to me like we're going to close above it. So that's a first good sign, but I'm going to put my magnet on, just make sure I've drawn it right, because I don't have terribly good eyesight. There we go. Yes, I have. 321.55. So for me, 321.55 should become support. 388, if we stop here in these highs and just a 3-wave move and then have a big drop back, that would not be so bullish. But if we can get up to 497 or 500 with this swing, and this swing is 1.618 of this first one, then I'm going to say I think we probably have got a really strong bullish reversal, and it's bottoms in, next leg, and it's underway for AAVE. Okay, so let's do some more alpha. So this is a chart we looked at in my group this morning. Really nice. One of the things, when you get above your moving averages, you get your bullish cross here. Because when we rallied this first time, you know, they weren't really set up. We've pulled back. It feels like a little bit of a... It's not a very good inverted head and shoulders pattern, is it? So I'm not going to call it one. They have to be quite good to impress me. But it's a lower high. So if we take out this high, we've got a higher high. Then we'll just do the same exercise. If we've gone beyond where this one is 61.8 of the first swing, which is here at 0.81, then we're looking for 105 next, and then 1.618. This is my target for alpha, where we are also 50%. When you reverse it an 8, I've got my fib retraces from this low to this high here. When you reverse it an 886 pullback, which we did here when this basically big 3-wave pullback, your first target is the 50%, which is here, so 1.45. So I really do like this one. I think that this Daily 200 moving average should kind of continue. As long as we're moving higher, we should push it up. Let's see. That's where I think we're going next for alpha. But if it's going to fail, it will be at 0.813 or 1.05. So this one looking quite good. Lynn Beaumont said, I'm a firm believer in the stock to flow model. Hopefully, yeah. Okay. Did the Binance futures spike to 48,000 mean that the rally might stop there, do you reckon? No, I think, okay, so in Binance, it happened in the futures, didn't it? So this wasn't somebody that actually bought Bitcoin. This was somebody that was using leverage in the futures. Now, there's a number of people that do that, and some people do it in really big size. So some people do it because it gives them more leverage. Some people do it because they've got a whole bunch of Bitcoin in cold storage, and they'll short Bitcoin in the futures to hedge against losses in their portfolio. So imagine if you I don't know, imagine you have 1,000 Bitcoin in cold storage in the bottom of your garden in a wallet somewhere. Then you could send 100 Bitcoin to Binance and use that to trade the futures to hedge. So if you've got if you basically sell equivalent of 1,000 Bitcoin, if you think it's going down, then you've protected yourself against losses. And so there's a number of reasons why people are doing big size in the futures, and quite, I think it was one player and they ran him out, and that was it. And that's why we saw that big move. And that's why volume isn't always reliable. If you look at volume in the S&P or in oil futures, everybody's trading those oil futures on the same exchange. So you know exactly what volume goes where. But in a decentralized market like foreign exchange or crypto, where there's a number of exchanges and a number of ways people can trade, the volume is quite hard to see or know. So I think it was just one big player, unfortunately. Pretty nasty though if you were at Binance and also short and got stuck on the move. Okay, so we're a little bit bullish alpha. Let's take a look at Maker. I'm a little bit maybe Maker. Here's Maker. This is another one which today has moved above these moving averages and potentially has made a very nice sort of three-wave correction. If we measure the swings in Maker like this, hasn't quite got down to, but really, really kind of good support. When you look at previous lows, this is one of those places. So this makes me think that this might just be a B leg because it doesn't look like a complete correction. But if this was our first swing, then in Maker, got lots of lovely room for this second swing, haven't we? So we're at the first resistance here, even though we've moved above our moving averages. 28.58 is the level to beat, and if we can get above 28.58, then 33.21 would be the next level that I am looking for in Maker. So that's what I'm looking for. So unhappy. I'm gonna make a suggestion for you at the end, okay? Okay, I don't have a hard drive buried anywhere. I just bought a house, okay? Sorry about that. Don't be digging up my garden. All right. RUNE, let's take a look at RUNE. I wish. So and I have a very and my dog weighs 85 kilos, so don't come around here. Okay, so RUNE, this is a really good example of one where this really, if I've got my Fibonacci candles on, this really isn't trending up or hasn't made that big bullish reversal yet that we've been looking for, have we? If I measure the retrace levels from this low to high, you can see that this previous swing low, we This is a daily chart. See this previous swing low? We tried to get above it and it was resistance. And that still is resistance. Unless we can close above this level, we're still in a downtrend in RUNE and we're not finished. And the next level down, I'm afraid, is a little bit lower, 2.75. So on every time frame, this one not finished yet. Unless we can do that, unless we reverse that trend. So there we go. One guy had, oh, the guy with the landfill, I know, isn't that's oh, I remember when I bought my first Bitcoin and we thought paying 10 Bitcoin for a pizza was a good deal. Like, you know, I don't like this chart, I'm afraid. I think that this is still in a downtrend and this really isn't the reversal that we're looking for yet. Now, so no, let's pass on RUNE and let's do somebody else do the hard work and make a base in this one. Now, Luna. This is another one. This is so many charts that I looked at this morning look like this one. They look like a bear flag, big bear flag, don't they? When you have a big down move and then you try and rally but you can't, and you can't get a trend going, that's what a bear flag looks like. And this, I'm afraid, is what I think Luna looks a bit like here. Unless we can get above that 200-day moving average, we've got this channel, we're at the top of the channel, and it's marked by the 200-day moving average, and yeah, potentially resistance. There's a couple of reasons why I might be wrong, or we might find the oomph to get above it, if you like. One of the reasons is Fibonacci retracements. If I measure from this high to this low, this previous swing high here was the 236. So if we just do a shallow pullback and we hold this 236 fib level, then there is a chance that, yes, so we would look for 3 waves back on a lower time frame and then above there. Then I think once we get above the 200 moving average, then I want to see it really trend. So I want to see it really extend and look trendy. Otherwise, no. I'm afraid Luna is one of those ones at resistance. And you know, when it's so exciting everywhere else, I'd like someone else to get it over the hump and then I'd buy the pullback. We're saying no. We're saying watch out Wednesday, Ryan. Watch out for a reversal on Wednesday night. So the Federal Reserve meeting and announcement and press conference happens in the UK at 7 p.m. and 2 p.m. in the afternoon in New York time. And then after that is the press conference, and you do very often see some really wild volatility. So that's what we're going to be looking out for. Okay, comp. Now, comp is an interesting chart. It's almost an inverted head and shoulders pattern, this chart here on the daily. This is comp against US dollar Tether. This is another one where, so we had a really nice strong rally off the lows. We've taken out these previous highs. Here's our pullback. One of the signs of a correction is if you kind of just do a 50% pullback. This one was 61.8. It's a really nice looking pullback. And then short term here, these moving averages, if we look at this comp on a lower time frame, this has the look of an inverted head and shoulders pattern, which is bullish, and all our moving averages are bunched up. So if we can break out, and we really need to break above 420, then I think we'll see a really nice move next leg, big leg up in comp. So 420 is what we're looking for. So again, for targets, we're going to measure the first swing like this. So our first target would be a retest of the highs, 516. 644.50 would be our second target, and then the highs, 851, would be 1.618 of this first swing. So a breakout trade comp, if it can break out, I think that's got a really good look. Again, all of these, check what they look like against Bitcoin. See comp Bitcoin. Now, it's not really if we look at this weekly chart, is it? It's not really going up against Bitcoin, but it did have this really bullish move, and this is kind of a pullback. We kind of got the same inverted pattern. So I feel, and these moving averages that should be support now for comp. So I feel like if comp dollar can break out, comp Bitcoin should turn and break out as well. But watch for that. So maybe don't go all in. So this little downward channel is what I would like to see broken. So that's comp. And this is, a lot of alts look like this, you know. Bitcoin right now is where it's at. Let's take a look at Link, which is always so popular. And I will look at Doge. So again, I said that earlier today, I really like Link because we've broken it above this 50 moving average. Here, Link Tether. We've had a really good move against off the lows. So this is another one of those charts where I would be stalking a pullback entry. I'm going to hide these fib projections. So I'm going to put my fib retrace from this high to this low. Now that we're above this moving average, my first target is this 236 fib. And then the second one is the daily 200 moving average and the 38.2. So 2273, as long as we hold above this daily 50 moving average. If we drop back in the next couple of hours and we close underneath it, see here, it's at 19.05, we risk doing that thing in the middle in between these moving averages before we go up again. So needs to really close above 19.05. And this previous high is not gonna, this is also gonna be one of those wobble levels before we 21, before we get to that big fib level. You know, this is because this is the level that changes the trend. If we go beyond that previous swing high, remember a downtrend is lower lows, lower highs. If we take that out and then we make a higher low, we've reversed the trend, haven't we, in Link? So again, is Link, how is Link doing though against Bitcoin? Do we want to be spending our Bitcoin on Link? It's a bullish day though, but it's still a bit of a downtrend, isn't it? I would say that I'd really like to see Link above this 20 moving average and moving higher as well, for me to get excited about Link as well. I just think everything seems to be about Bitcoin at the moment. There's cake somebody asked for. Here's a nice look. I've got cake against Binance Coin. Let's look at cake against dollar because we want to confirm. We want to look at apples against apples. Again, a lovely. So this is a big move off the lows. Got rejected at the moving averages. Pulled back. A higher low, and now we are above these moving averages, looking higher. So next resistance, this one should go. Next resistance would be these highs, and then this 236 fib level again. But we're going to measure 1, 2, like this. See if they line up. So see how this equal measured move lines up with this 236 fib level, and we're at this 61.8 now. I would say we want to close above 14.97, and then the target becomes 17.52. If we stop at 17.52 in cake, it's not bullish reversal, it's still a correction. Okay, we've really got to go beyond that, and we haven't. That's where our weekly 20 moving average is for this one as well. So a lot of these DeFi coins and these altcoins, they don't look quite ready, you know. Anyway, so we were just looking at BNB, weren't we? Let's take a look at BNB proper, and then we'll. And you say Bitcoin is pulling back. Okay, let me. Okay, 1 second. Dogs are barking. They're going, Bitcoin's pulling back. Look out. Oh no, I'm not worried about this. Now, it is. So one of the things that helps me very often is, you know, final legs, if we're going to see a bigger correction. Amazon has denied the City AM report that they're going to accept Bitcoin and they're going to do their own cryptocurrency. That's annoying. Well, so let's take this out. Where is our support in Bitcoin? Our support is here at these previous lows and this 38.2 fib level, 37.532. So we're still in an uptrend unless we take out these lows. And if we do take out these lows, then you people waiting for that bigger pullback, you will get it. We'll see a nice big three-wave correction. If we go back to the daily chart, I'm going to put regular candles on. Yeah, 37.532, I really do think is pretty solid support for if you're looking for a shallow pullback. And if we get underneath it, obviously we're in a bigger scenario. We will have done 5 waves up and we'll need big 3 waves back. And we might come back, you know, as far as 34,000, but let's see. Okay, so where were we? We were looking at Cake, BNB. We were looking at BNB, weren't we? So we're going to look at a BNB against the dollar so that we are comparing apples and apples. So if we look at the weekly chart, this is another one with weekly resistance here from this 20 moving average and these kind of highs. And if we connect these highs, this is our, so we've got the weekly resistance. We've got this trend line here, third touch, false breakout. If we can't close above this 50 in this trend line, no breakout yet for BNB, unfortunately. Let's see where we are. This is another one like ETH. I have to say I'm not terribly bullish this yet. It looks like one big 5-wave drop, 3-wave rally, 3-wave drop. So this is A, me, and then we need another one, but it's not really. This is all, you know, these moving averages, when you get them all bunched up like this, they usually precede a really big move. And I don't know in this one which way it would be, but it could just as easily be lower, I'm afraid. If I put log scale on for this one, and if this is a big wave 3 and we're in a big wave 4, that would be, where are we, 61.8. Right, so we're doing that at 61.8. So in between the 61.8 retrace level and the 38.2, they call this the golden ratio zone. This is where the bulls and the bears fight it out, and the 50% level through the middle is very often a pivot level. Here you can see this high here, these lows here, this high here. This is our pivot level. So really, if we're going to look for the level that says we're going higher in BNB dollar, it's this 50% pivot level at 331.50. And if we do get a back of it, we'll go back to the top of the range. But this, I'm afraid, could just as easily go the other way. If we go one level down to the 786 and make a Gartley pattern, then I would be like, back up the truck. Let's all buy. We can all look to buy down here at 145. So a close below 254. Watch out, we could go to 145, and that's quite a lot. So most alts are pulling. You know, we've had a really big day. That's okay. At some point, you know, this is going to pull back. So it's where we, especially these alts that we're looking to see if we can break resistance, then they haven't. You know, like this theta is still in a downtrend when we get rejected at levels like this. So a lot of alts are not confirming the bullish reversal yet, let's put it that way. Okay, let's where were we? BNB then at resistance. I'm not feeling it in that one yet. Sushi, let's see what we've got in Sushi. Who doesn't love Sushi? I love Sushi. Okay, so Sushi Tether, when I look at this big picture, this looks like a lovely pole and a bullish flag, doesn't it? We're making a pretty nice base here on the weekly, and I've got this on log scale, so you can see that actually this is, the flag is not quite as pretty as it looks in linear scale, but here we go anyway. So on the weekly here, we've got this 20 moving average. That's our high, and these previous highs, that's what we've got to get above to reverse. And unless we can close above them, not happening, I'm afraid. Just summer sideways range for Sushi. A lot of again, these coins are not. Look, it's a triple top, isn't it? You want to say we've got a good chance now that we are above these daily moving averages, but these daily moving averages are flat. When they look like this and they're moving higher, that's a beautiful trend. And when they slope like this, you can buy pullbacks to them all day and all night. Okay, but when your moving averages go flat, it's a big flashing warning sign that there is no trend here. We're just in a sideways range. And when you're in a sideways range, you buy the bottom, you sell the high, and you wait to get out of it. So that's what I'm looking for. No breakout then for Sushi yet, unless we can. Uni and then Litecoin. So let's see if I've got Uni here. Maybe I'll just draw a Uni. Okay. Uni, US dollar Tether. Now this is another one underneath the 200 moving average today. This is the daily 50. Have we closed above it yet? Not really. Sideways range, and we're in the middle. Don't diddle in the middle is a thing, because right here in the middle we could go either way, up or down. You pretty much know at the extremes of this range that you're most likely to revert back within the range, but in the middle we can kind of go either way. I would feel pretty confident if we could close above this daily 50 or continue above it tomorrow, that we will continue higher and come up and make a big ABC and hopefully say hi to this 200-day moving average, something like that. But at the moment this is resistance. We could just as easily do a little pullback here before we go up again. So waiting for a pretty neutral Uni, I have to say. Not sure. So I mentioned Litecoin earlier. Litecoin, I've already done Litecoin. It's not outperforming Bitcoin yet. I think it will usually follow on. It's still in a downtrend against Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin can bottom, I think Litecoin will be a really good catch-up trade. But until then, I'm gonna leave this alone and say not for me, I'm afraid. Sorry. HTR, no, I don't remember looking at this. Chart before, so let's see what this chart says. HTR US dollars. So these are our requests from Twitter. So this is another one. Okay. This chart made, I think, 5 waves up, and here so far 3 waves down, and we're holding support. But this wedge shape, this kind of equal triangle, normally I would expect it to break lower in a 5th wave, But if this is the bottom and this was just a 3-wave correction, then it'll break higher from here. And to be honest, right now, I don't know which way this one's going to go. It really could. These moving averages are flat, and it really could go either way. Now, I've drawn it with a sloping trend line at the moment, but if we were to break above this, we would still have resistance from this previous high. So that's kind of your first sign of a breakout here. Then you've got your second level, and then if we do an ABC, we could end up at the 200 moving average, which is just new here, look. So it does look promising. I like how we've squeaked above these moving averages. We could see a breakout in this one, but until it actually does break out, I'm afraid, yeah, it's not, let's put it this way, I wouldn't spend my Bitcoin on it. Let's take a look at it against Bitcoin and see how it's performing. You know, it's holding up against Bitcoin, so I don't think it's a terrible idea to spend some of your Bitcoin on it. It's going toe to toe with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes up, your HTR, your Hathor will go up. Why not? Let's see if it can break out. Okay, next one we are going to look at is S and X. This ICP, first target at resistance. That's annoying, isn't it? S and X. Here we go. So on the daily, this looks quite impressive, doesn't it? If we go switch to the weekly though, this is another one where we've been in a pretty nasty downtrend and we're still underneath our weekly moving averages. So if we were to continue to rally from here, which looks good, we would put measured moves in. So first target is going to be 12.148, and that's where the weekly 20 moving average is. Second target would be 15.24. So when we look at the daily, yes, lovely move off daily moving averages, and our 200 moving averages up there at the second target. So buy pullbacks in S and X. 12 point, it's not a trend reversal yet, but it's got some promise. 12.148 first target, 15.24 second target, and then only really above this 200 moving average can we say we're in an uptrend, and we need to break out of this kind of downtrending channel. I wonder if I'm drawing it right. Hold on. If we do this. No. Sometimes with these to make a parallel channel, you have to fiddle with them a bit to fit them in. So I'm not going to do that now. But yeah, Bitcoin is dumping, is it? How irritating. Okay. Well, again, 37,500. Let's see if it can hold this support. Okay, so I've just done S and X. Swap, Luna, MATIC. So we swap. No. Okay, let's look at swap or swap US dollar Tether. Gosh, this is a nice chart. When you make a lovely base like this and flatten out all your moving averages and then get above them, you usually see some really nice follow through. So let's, after a long term downtrend, here we are. So we got into this sideways range, we made a really nice base, and we've broken out of the middle. So we've got our double bottom. So normally then if you make a double bottom like this and you have this high in the middle, if you break out, you can hold your breakout, which I suppose if everything dumps, we might come back underneath, but we should go twice this sideways range and really back to these highs. So the next target becomes this high here, because this is the last high in the downtrend. This is the one that would reverse the downtrend, if you like, so 1.18. So now we can say if we can hold above here on a daily close basis, we might have a little look underneath intraday, but if we can, on a daily close, if we can hold above 0.878, we're going to look all the way up to the highs here at 1.18 next in trust swap. And then, again, this won't be a bullish reversal unless we go beyond that, make a higher high and then higher low, pull back to these moving averages and so on. We've got a lot to do in this one. But yeah, I think that they say the longer you spend going sideways accumulating, the further your rally will go. So let's see where we did it. We did it here, not for less time, and we had a really nice rally last time. So let's see. Cyprian. Okay, I salute you, Cyprian. Good evening. Thank you for popping in. Luna, MATIC, B21. So Luna. Looked at this chart a few times. Here we go. As I mentioned earlier, this one, some people will tell you that this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern. I'm not a big fan of ones that slope higher. I don't mind them if they slope lower. But what happens when you have a neckline that slopes higher like this is sometimes you can just creep along the line, and this to me like is just as likely to be a bear flag, and I'm not quite sure what's going on here in Luna. But unless we can get above this 200 moving average Luna tether and this 8.7 level on a close, you can see how we're back underneath these highs already. See these highs here? We're back underneath them already in price. Unless we can close above 8.72, I don't think Luna's going up. And there is a risk that, yeah, a bigger pullback here. So not quite ready to go, is it? So no, let's pass on Luna and MATIC. So I'm not sure MATIC is ready either. I can't remember where MATIC lives. So we'll find it. Here we go. This is another one at resistance. So MATIC, I like this for a breakout. It's a bit like comp, isn't it? So if I put my fib retrace, I must have it in log scale. There we go. There we go. If I put my fib retrace on from high to low, I do really like this big. First of all, I'd like to be bullish MATIC. I really like this three-wave, big three equal measured move correction that we made in MATIC. I really like how we're bouncing from the 200-day moving average. There's loads to like about this. The problem is that this 50 moving average is resistance, and these 20 and 50 are the wrong way round for a bullish move. And when you see that, very often you'll see a deep retrace. It needs to do a bit more work here. I'd really like to see a little shallow right shoulder sort of head and shoulders pattern in this one. It's clear though that we know if we break these highs and we break this daily 50 that we know we're going up in MATIC, and that's going to be our trigger. And so yeah, let's put an alert here and not miss it, because when MATIC goes, it's made such a massive correction. When it goes, it goes. So I'm going to put an alert on there. So if you've got, I don't work for TradingView. I don't even get free charts for TradingView. But if you do put an alert on like this and you have it on your phone, you will get the alert on your phone. Okay? So if you have the TradingView app on your phone. Okay. So that's what I want to see for MATIC to go up. This is pretty tough resistance for MATIC. And then let's look at B21 lastly. So B21 US dollar tether. Okay. So we'll take a look at the daily chart of this against the US dollar. Oh, nasty downtrend, isn't it? Let's see if what we've got no moving average support. It's underneath all of them. So we now just look for fib levels where it might come back to. And oh, it's underneath the 886, and this is resistance. So we could put in 1942, these highs. There's a real risk that this one comes all the way back and retests the lows. For me to be bullish, I want to see it back above 0.1176. That would be a bullish reversal for me. And if it doesn't, then yeah, in a downtrend, and I'm not catching knives and collecting it. So that's what I would wait to see. Potentially, and this works a lot in penny stocks, this opening price could be support. It might be that spike high, or it might be the closing price here. One of these two in this zone then would be potentially, if we've overshot, this would be. If you go beyond a level, very often the pattern you'll see is a head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders. So, okay, Connor says, can I look at Ripple and Cocos? Yeah, let's see Ripple and Cocos then. I'm just going to close that. Ripple. Now, Ripple Bitcoin is a little bit concerning. I don't like how we struggling here with this 200 moving average. It's a bit, but we are, I suppose, holding support, and we have done one of those little false breakdowns, swing failure patterns, and that usually does lead to a little bit of a bounce. So potentially Ripple could have a little go at Bitcoin. Let's look at it against the dollar though. So Ripple Tether, this is another one. Normally if you pull these daily moving averages underneath the 200 moving average, that's a bearish setup, and you would be looking for this third leg to sell it. So far we've gone 1, 2, 3. That would be a sell setup for me. So makes it's got a surprise me. The thing is with this chart, because of the lawsuit and everything, it is a little bit of a lottery ticket. So, this could be an X wave and it could suddenly bounce and then be above the 200 moving average and everything's changed. But for now, against Bitcoin, against the dollar, yeah. So if I'm going to look, there's this level, which is also kind of where the 200 moving average is. It's a little bit higher than here. It might be between this high and this high. So around 0.75, if we rally back to there, that would also be where the equal measured move is. So if everything bounces together and Ripple has a little bit of a catch-up bounce, you can see how 0.75 would be also the equal measured move. So massive support, resistance, 200-day moving average, equal measured move. That would be where, if we continue to push higher, I would be taking profit at the very least in Ripple. Okay, and then Cocos. Let's see Cocos. Cocos recovered the 20. Okay, here's Cocos. It did, but look at this. How many alts have got the same sideways pattern? And this 200 moving average Cocos is a little bit. Covered the weekly 20. Now, yeah, if we look at big picture, we could hold this weekly 20 by the end of the week, carry on higher, but we're not going to be out of this quite sideways range either, are we? So I would say it's all a little bit up in the air at the moment. let's get through Wednesday and see what happens. And finally, we'll finish on SXP, which I remember. SXP. We're going to look at it against the dollar first. Compare apples and apples. Take this away. Take that away. So I want to see basically first off, because I don't like how we are holding underneath this 200 moving average, and this choppy overlapping sideways says correction. Now, it could go either way. We could have done a big A, we could be doing a big, when you have this sideways consolidation, you really can break out from it either way. I just want to see what the fib retrace is say. Do you know, see how this was, so this was support, 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 support. It looks like we recovered it. If we were to continue to sell off here and close back underneath this support, that would be quite bearish, and it would point to another leg lower in SXP to 1.16. So I think it's really quite important here that we're going to hold on to this level that we're at, 1.695. If we can hold above it on this pullback, here we come back, then we've got a chance that we keep going higher. Otherwise, this may just have been a little bit of a false break. That's what I'd be looking at in SXP. Potentially, we've recovered, but we really do need to hold above 1.695. Otherwise, yeah. Let's see. Okay, I hope that helps. We'll try and do some updates through the week. Remember, the really tricky day this week is going to come Wednesday evening, Federal Reserve. Even if they don't say anything important, it's just one of those events that can have some really nasty volatility for the dollar, and nasty volatility for the dollar can be really pretty unpleasant for crypto too. Okay?